Hey guys, we are here today in Valheim and we are going to be taking a look at your basics of framing. Talking a little bit about stability, some basic floor plans, and some staircases. Just like my video on understanding the basics of roofing, this will not be a guide on how to build any one particular thing, but hopefully give you a better understanding of how the pieces in Valheim work, and how you can mix them together to build whatever you would like. The first thing we're going to open up on is a quick breakdown of stability in Valheim using the basic pieces, meaning we will not be touching on anything with iron or stone, and just looking at the basic wood and the core wood in the game. Now you can see here I have a whole mess of things, and we are not going to jump into direct detail of all this madness, but I will give you a breakdown of it. First off, your basic wood can extend off 4 floorboards from the wall it's touching, and this does not matter if it is a full 2-meter wall or a 1-meter half wall. So there is no point in trying to get closer to the floor to extend farther unless you are directly touching the ground. And then as we progress up in the basic wood, it has the same 4-plank width all the way up till 2 full pieces, which is 4 meters tall. They will drop down to only being able to hold 3 floorboards once you hit 5 meters high, and they will do another drop down to 2 floorboards once you reach 8 meters high. And finally, it will drop down to only being able to hold 1 floorboard once you reach 12 meters in the air, which puts you at a very high height. So if you're looking at building like a guardsman watchtower that's only 1 square wide or something, you can get crazy high. And basic wood will lose the ability to hold a floor piece on once you get up to 15 meters high. If you are looking to design an actual second story or third story in a building, you do need to keep in mind how high you can go before you're starting to lose floorboards as far as width goes. Now, the stability in Valheim is not dependent on an exact number system. It is tied to the material you are using. So we just went through basic wood, and now right here you can see below me we are on core wood logs. And then off of those are extending horizontal wood braces or walls. Now, just like the basic wood, the core wood poles going vertically can sustain 4 wide on the floorboards. However, they can sustain the width of 4 floorboards all the way up until they are at 7 meters tall. They drop down to 3 floorboards once they reach that 8-meter height, and they drop down to 2 floorboards once they reach 12 meters tall. Core wood then drops down to 1 floorboard at 16 meters tall, and loses all stability once you reach 20 meters high. I also have these 26-degree roof pieces here just to demonstrate that they are at the same stability at the same point, meaning that roofs work the exact same as floors, and that will allow you to map out exactly how your roof is going to go beforehand by paying attention to how your floor has been going to this point anytime you're doing a higher level building. And then also for demonstrative purposes, I have the same setup here on wood beams with 1-meter beams. I have the core wood setup with 2 meters right here, and they work the exact same. They reach out the same distance. Does not matter if you're using 1-meter beams, 2-meter beams, or 4-meter beams. It's all dependent on the material you're using. Additionally, as far as stability goes, you can extend the stability of your floor by adding angled beams. You can see here that with 4 meters high on wood beams, we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out as opposed to 4, and if I remove that angled beam, we immediately lose pieces on the edge. This is an important system to pay attention to no matter what you are doing. If I add a beam right here and attach just to the first one, I can extend out 1 more floorboard. If I go down all the way to the ground, I can extend up 2 beams to the center, and that will allow me to add 1 floorboard as well. It does not allow me to get a second one on, however, as it will still break. This does not mean that adding 2 braces is useless. You can see here on this piece here, if I add 3 braces going up from the ground all the way up, it will allow me to gain 2 more floorboards, which means I've now allowed these basic wood beams to extend the same floorboard width as core wood logs at a shorter height. All in all, the important part with these wood beams is if you have elevated ceilings, it is almost guaranteed to be worth adding these anytime you're going to add a second story to the corners and having some exposed trusses, even if it just extends how far you can reach by 1 or 2 boards. Another important thing to note whenever building second or third stories up in the air is it can be very difficult to attach floor pieces while you're standing on it, and you can't always rely on being able to stand on the ground and point at the front in order to place a piece. The 2 ways to combat this is to place a floor piece on top of your current one, and then by pointing at the edge, it will snap into place underneath, allowing you to delete your top one and have a floor piece connected correctly. Option number 2 is to place any type of wood beam, like an angled beam, off the edge at the corner, which is much easier to snap on, and it will do the same where your floor piece will be able to connect to it when pointed at the beam. And once you delete your beam or your extra floor piece, you will get the materials back. 2 additional notes on the stability level is ladders will extend 4 before breaking, and stairs will extend 5 before breaking. Since stairs are at 26 degree and ladders are at 45 degree, this does mean ladders reach higher overall. So if you're trying to get up high to get some guck out of a tree or anything like that, and making a scaffold system, ladders are the best option to get height. And the second thing to note on stability and integrity is it does not matter if the piece is deep red or blue, indicating high stability, they have the same amount of health. So if you can finish your building with deep red roof pieces or floor pieces, it will perform and function just fine as long as no supports get taken out. And now we will quickly touch on a couple different floor pans. We're going to talk about circular. I have shown in the past to build circular by using wood beams and rotating them 1 notch inside every time you place one. There is another method to building circular, however, to place a beam down as a marker and then attach horizontal 1 meter beams to it. You can do this at the top or the bottom and rotate them 1 click every time. And then once you have it all done, extend off of those straight with more beams until you get to your desired width. And this method will create this big bloom pattern. Now there is one massive downside with this pattern, is you will notice that horizontal beams do not attach correctly and cannot be used to cap off the edges. Now I'm sure you will be able to find ways around this, however it is something to be aware of. The reason it does not cap off on the edges is you can see here with the standard circular pattern that I use normally. In order to get the center to line up the same as the bloom, they have to do these curves, creating more of like a spiral. And you will see the open hole in the middle, which does not exist on the bloom pattern, showing you that these 2 different circular ones line up slightly different, and they are not just 2 variants for the same pattern. There are also 2 options to build in octagonal formats, doing the same exact thing. You can build it like I have from the outside and create your border first, and then create beams or floorboards to head towards the middle, or you can do what I'm referring to as the bloom pattern and start from the center on a wood beam, and rotate every 2 clicks from there. Just like the circular patterns, however, both of these wind up slightly different, altering how your overall building will go. And you can tell that they land at different spots, again based on the center, with one of them having space in the middle for a pole and one of them not. You can see here for a representation of how different they are is running floorboards across the whole thing, even though this is not how you would floor it, and seeing how far it sticks out the outside. And it sticks out this much less on the other method. You can also see here on some of the octagonal patterns some misalignments on walls. Furthermore, just showing how the buildings are not going to line up exactly, and you will probably have to overlap some things to get what you would like. You can also see here on the octagonal buildings, once we get near the top with the roofing, it looks like I have wood roof crosses up here, but you will see here that the wood roof crosses do not actually line up, and it actually clips through and is too wide for this section. So I just put 26-degree beams on there and created my own crosses. And this problem persists on both octagonal options and in a slightly different way. The point of this being that just because something you're building is not lining up properly or correctly, it does not mean you did something wrong. There are ways to design these buildings and have them probably line up perfect, but all in all, they're going to come out wrong just a little bit, and you will have to use the game's ability to clip things through each other and place things over each other in order to make the building you want work. As an example of this, I placed a 1 meter wood beam down and did the bloom pattern, but I went 3 clicks, which ends up in 5 different points. And the important part of this whole setup here is you can see here if I click 3 times from one of the bottom points, it actually lines up on a new spot and not where I placed it, which I did for demonstrative purposes to show you this strange pattern I have here that I'm forced to line up with one bigger section since the 3 clicks does not line up properly, and got it all floored. Not only that, but you can successfully wall that in and make this whole mess of roofs that I did here, just to show you that the roof from the outside doesn't have very many clipping issues, and without the build hammer out, you can't actually notice which piece are which. So you could build even in a very strange pattern like this and make it work given the time and commitment. One more floor pattern I want to show you if you are doing a log cabin and you do not want the wooden floors is you can place a 1x1 piece across the side of the log beams and then place log beams and they will snap to those 1x1 grids, allowing you to place them down the line, and they can be walked over without falling inside of them. So you could do a log cabin floor using those as a guide and then free placing more inside if you would like, or even do it the opposite direction and do what I'm calling the honeycomb pattern. I'm not sure if anyone would be interested in a floor like this, but it does work and your character does not fall through it. Although I did say we will not be getting into stone stability in this, it is worth noting that the stone can sink into this floor here and clip in and get almost a tile and grout look if you're looking to make something pretty interesting for your base. And the last thing we are going to address in this video is spiral staircases. I have seen quite a few videos on how to make spiral staircases, seeing some replacing constantly on a wood beam and rotating it, and then using the shift ability to slightly move them up as you go, creating a gradual rotation. Now, I am by no means saying that these don't work, and I will link the ones that I know of in the description so you can check them out yourself. I will say, however, I have not gotten them to work consistently. They're difficult to place sometimes, they don't always let you get up them, and the placement of them can be finicky. If you have seen any of my other buildings or builds, you will know that I'm more about efficiency than look or even being compact. So I'm going to show you here the only spiral looking staircase that I have gotten to work very easily, which just requires the basic stairs at certain intervals and some 1x1 floors, and you'll see that I have zero clipping issues, there's no stutter going up them, and I believe they're actually fairly easy to place. I have the side of the stairs in the wall, which I've removed here so I can show you, but you can build it in a wall if you want it hugging that wall the entire time. And this particular staircase requires 1.5 beams and then rotating one click and doing 1/2 beams again, and making a big circle out of 3 meter long walls as opposed to the single 2 meter. You'll stick a 26-degree angled beam going straight along one wall and then add a straight 1 meter beam to create a landing, and then continue that pattern with 1-click rotation again. Then you'll attach your stairs to these 26-degree beam, and it has 2 click points. You'll see it's got one that slightly comes off the beam and then one that sinks all the way up even with the top of that 26-meter beam. Make sure you hit the upper point and not the lower point, and then you will place on the 1 meter wide beam a 1x1 floor piece and place 2 of them there. And you can see it lines up really nice and you can go straight up. I've also seen different ways to curve the stairs themselves, but every way I've seen those, they always end up on top of each other like that, or they curve and don't let you access the whole thing, again creating clipping issues, which this system avoids. And this system can be done if you are running Octagonal and running 4 meters long instead of 3 meters, by running the 26-degree beam and then running a full beam off of that, and continuing the exact same setup, with the only difference being placing a full floorboard across the 2 meter beam and having a larger landing. And again, although this might not be the prettiest look or the most compact look, it is efficient in the sense that you don't clip at all up and down the stairs, and it hugs the exterior wall very well to give you as much room underneath them as possible. Well guys, there you go, a breakdown of the stability system, a couple different floor plans, how the different ways to build circular and octagonal buildings actually work, and a couple ideas for some circular staircases. I said it in my understanding basic roofing guide as well, but there is no actual wrong or right way to make a building in Valheim. The pieces do not always line up exactly, but the game allows you to mesh them into each other and clip them through each other. So with a little effort and work and creativity, you can really create any type of building you would like. If things aren't lining up exactly how you thought they would or how you wanted them to, it does not mean you are incorrect or wrong or something was misplaced every time. Sometimes it just means you need to add a little bit more creativity. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If you'd like to see more videos on Valheim, make sure you hit that subscribe button down at the bottom. And if you'd like to chat about Valheim a little bit more, or shoot me some ideas and suggestions, then you can feel free to join my Discord in the description. Thanks for watching, I will see you next time.